It's 2024 and there are a comprehensive range of cameras on the market now for shooting video, all the way from compact mirrorless cameras to larger cinema and broadcast cameras. There are so many options to choose from. But today, with the release of this, the Sony Z200, I want to talk about a slightly underrepresented segment of the market, the trusty camcorder, and why you may want to consider this new Sony or any other camcorder style camera for your next production. Camcorders are designed for one thing and one thing only, capturing great video. So their entire design is around making it easier and faster to control and operate the camera for video, and the Z200 is no different. This includes the sensors that they use as well. Camcorders will commonly feature smaller sensors than other cameras on the market, and the Z200 has a 5K 1-inch CMOS sensor, which is a good size for it to use considering the size of the camera. This small sensor paired with the lens this camera has means you do get quite a deep depth of field look. But for the productions this camera is aimed at, having deeper depth of field isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've managed to shoot a few different production types with the Z200, including some corporate style headshots, some five-a-side football, and we went to our oh so faithful Bushy Park. The image quality is good overall, but it will have limited dynamic range over some of the other larger sensor cameras in Sony's range. However, colour and detail look good overall, which is partly thanks to the 5K sensor. If you want to take full advantage of the 5K resolution, you are able to oversample when in 4K up to 60p. When going above that, it will crop by about 23%, but you will get a full pixel readout. In 4K, you can shoot up to 120 frames per second with full autofocus performance and up to 240 frames per second in 1080p. You can shoot in a solid mix of different XAVC formats, including XAVC-SI 4210-bit and XAVC HSL42, which are great additions. The Z200 will be receiving an update in the future to enable MXF wrapped XAVC. You can also shoot proxies as well as define a few different recording modes to take advantage of the dual SD and CF Express Type A card slots. The Z200 features Sony's incredibly versatile electronic ND system, similar to the one found in the FX6. Camcorders featuring an internal ND system is pretty standard, but the electronic one in this is pretty special. It has a range of 2 to 7 stops, which is a good amount to have built in, and it can be really dialed in very granularly or be controlled in regular stop increments. As with a lot of camcorders, the Z200 has a range of auto exposure modes and controls. This includes using the electronic ND. This makes cameras like this great to learn on for students, as you can slowly move away from auto to fully manual. And it will also make exposing while running and gunning faster for people who want to focus more on what's happening in front of them in their frame instead of exposure. Having the ND adjust automatically means you can keep control of your regular exposure parameters and achieve shallower depths of field without having to manually adjust the ND. The camera has two modes, flexible ISO and custom. In flexible ISO mode and S-Log3, the Z200 has a base ISO of 1600, which is pretty high. Thankfully, you've got the ND to help compensate for that when outside, and if you want to shoot at a lower ISO, you could be switching into one of the regular custom color profiles like S-Cinetone, where the base ISO is 250. In S-Log3, the camera can look a bit noisy, but you can dial in noise reduction in camera, which is good. If you want the lowest noise in camera though, I would suggest shooting in custom mode in one of the 709 profiles like S-Cinetone with a lower ISO. The Z200 also features a night mode infrared function. You can change the colour of the footage in camera between white and green depending on the look you want. And it even has a little infrared light at the front for this, which will allow you to record some really unique footage in a pinch if you need to, especially if you're going ghost hunting.
What the hell? What was that? Did you hear that?
Oh no!
Oh!
If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to buy anything you see in this video or any other filmmaking or photography gear, head over to cvp.com where our experienced team is waiting to help you. The Z200's image has been designed around it being used with Sony's existing line of cameras. And this is great, as I could see these cameras sliding into productions and scenarios where existing cameras like the FX3, FX6 or FX9 could already be deployed. This is pretty easy to achieve thanks to the Z200 featuring a range of base colour looks, including 709 tone and IT709 for more broadcast orientated productions, S-Cinetone and S-Log3 S-Gamma3.Cine for matching with existing Sony Cinema line cameras, and a range of HDR profiles. So we wanted to see how closely we could get the Z200 to match our FX6, as I can see them being used together across quite a range of productions. We shot these side by side in S-Cinetone and S-Log3. With the S-Cinetone examples, we've left them as straight out of the camera, and for the S-Log3 shots, we've tried to get them as close to each other in resolve. The S-Cinetone examples look really great. They both match really well straight out of the camera. The S-Log3 ones using the same 709 LUT look close, but the ISO 1600 footage from the Z200 does give it a good bit more noise than the FX6's low bass. You can see a clear difference in quality between them, but they can match well if you need to shoot S-Log3, it will just require a bit more work. These are only quick examples, so I think with some more tweaking and testing, you could figure out which profiles across the different cameras would match the best to each other. The Z200, like many other camcorder style cameras, has a fixed lens, which has its advantages and disadvantages. Having a fixed lens means you can get a much longer zoom lens in a smaller package, have more consistency in the performance, and a much easier shooting experience as you don't need to worry about what lens you are using. The Z200 features a 20 times optical 7.7 to 154.2mm zoom, which works out to about a 24 to 480mm equivalent. This is an excellent range, especially considering its sensor size, and it's even better when you enable the clear image zoom. I can't imagine how large a Super 35 or even a full frame lens of this range and aperture would be. The extra range that you can get from the clear image zoom depends if you're in 4K or 1080p. In 4K you can zoom up to 720mm, and in 1080p you can go up to 960mm. So for productions where you need a massive zoom range in a pretty compact body, this is an excellent option. Having a lens with such a good zoom range without the need to change lenses or adapters is going to make it faster to shoot with, as you can easily go from a wide angle to an incredible telly within a few seconds. Thanks to the 5K sensor in the camera, the 4K clear image zoom footage actually looks pretty good, as you have the extra resolution of the sensor to play with. The zoom range that this camera has in such a small package is really very impressive. A Super 35 or full frame equivalent would be substantially bigger than this, and that is one of the big benefits of designing a small sensor fixed lens camera. The Z200 features a 2-ring design on the lens for controlling focus and zoom, with iris control on the camera body. You can also control the zoom using the rocker on the side grip or the top handle, or remotely using the correct zoom controller. This will be helpful for longer focal length tripod operation. You can control the speed of the zoom in a few different ways. First off, you can define the top handle zoom speed, and whether or not it is variable. It can be defined to be very slow, which is definitely helpful for more controlled zooms. You then have speed zoom, which speeds up both the top handle and side grip rockers. This means you can be very nice and smooth or quick, depending on what kind of thing you're shooting. The lens is pretty parfocal as well. It holds focus well as you zoom throughout the range. Autofocus will help with this sometimes with slower zooms, but faster ones may throw the autofocus out. The lens on this camera has a variable aperture of f2.8 at the wide end, which ramps to 4.5 as you zoom to the long end, which is pretty common to see on camcorders. At the telly end, it is possible to get some decent separation, but with such a small sensor, these apertures will give you pretty deep focus, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's also pretty common to see camcorders having great stabilization, as the fixed lens and small sensor can work together to provide excellent results. The Z200 is no different, as it features Sony's regular steady shot and then an active mode which crops in slightly on top of the regular steady shot stabilization. The regular stabilization works well for most general purpose footage. It's really good at the long end of the zoom as well, though of course at the kind of zoom levels that you can get to on this camera, the camera being on a tripod would be the best solution there. Standard steady shot is probably what you want to have enabled most of the time, and then if you need a little bit extra performance at the expense of a little bit of field of view and some slight warping in the corners, active could be a good option. The Z200 features Sony's most up-to-date AI-powered autofocus system, which means it should be better at deciding what is a human in the frame than previous cameras. It has all the regular adjustments and modes that you would expect to see, where you can control the speed and sensitivity, and with the screen you can use touch to control focus and track different subjects. It only has subject detection for humans currently. I was really hoping to see the full set of subjects from Sony's other cameras here, but at least the tap to track system works well enough to work around this when filming stuff like cars and wildlife. It covers 81% of the height and 98% of the width of the frame, and does seem incredibly snappy. it tracks really well across its focal range and does a good job at sticking onto human subjects. The Z200 also has Sony's AI-based auto-framing feature, which has already been introduced in some of their cameras more tailored for vlogging and content creation. This essentially uses the camera's clear image zoom and subject detection to reframe in camera. The different framing modes are where you can choose between whether it tracks a single person or moves between the tracked subject and the regular wide shot. It will recognise all of your subjects in the frame, and then you can tap between them on the camera or using the monitor and control app. I think the solo mode could be very helpful for people filming themselves or for multicam productions where you're using the Z200 as a stationary operatorless camera. I think it could actually work well in this scenario, especially when paired with other Sony cameras and their monitor and control app, which this camera is compatible with. When in this mode, the camera can still record a 4K image, which is probably achievable thanks to Sony's clear image zoom trickery. However, from our limited testing, you can see a drop in image quality when using the heavier crop modes. It's an interesting tool and could be worth experimenting with for a few different productions. I actually think it could be great if Sony could take it a step further maybe, and use the optical zoom to reframe instead of digitally zooming. Another must-have for a camcorder is solid built-in audio options, and the Z200 has that as well. It features a built-in mic at the front that sounds like this.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
It also has two full-size XLRs built in and a 3.5mm mic input. The XLRs sound good, and you can easily monitor your audio with the 3.5mm headphone out and adjust it with the physical controls for it on the left-hand side of the body. Camcorders are often used without an external sound mixer, so having a solid range of options and controls as well as good quality audio is very important. You can also use any of Sony's MI Shoe audio accessories. This includes their wireless audio system with the correct adapter. The overall physical layout and design of a camcorder is a big factor of what makes shooting video with them so good and easy. The Z200 has clearly taken design cues from Sony's previous camcorders and modern interchangeable lens video cameras. You have a really good range of buttons and controls at your fingertips to make quick changes to your exposure and settings on the fly. There are 12 assignable buttons across the body which you can reassign functions to in the menu. Professional camcorders like this need to be designed to run without any hiccups, and the Z200 features no record limits and a robust internal cooling system to make sure the camera keeps rolling when you need it to. You can also keep rolling as you go into the menu, which is a cool feature. With camcorders, everything you need to shoot good quality video and audio is built onto the camera, and they're ready to go as soon as you pull it out of the bag. Alongside the Z200, Sony also announced the NX800, which is essentially a slightly cheaper version of the Z200 with a few features removed. One of the big differences are the camera's inputs and outputs. The Z200 has both a 12G SDI out and a BNC for timecode, whereas the NX800 does not. This means that they'll be chosen for very different workflow needs. The Z200 is going to be the obvious choice if you need the extra I/O for multicam workflows or any of the many scenarios you need a nice robust SDI output. The Z200 has a viewfinder and a very nice solid LCD monitor included. The LCD is a 3.5-inch mini LED screen that can get decently bright, but probably the most noteworthy thing about it is the design of the included hood and hinge design. The hood slides on, which is a really nice design, and the hinge for moving it around feels really robust. The viewfinder also looks great, and you can fold it down onto the body, which is going to be handy when chucking it into a bag. Another big benefit of cameras designed for video is the battery type they use. The Z200 uses Sony's popular BPU style battery, which is used across a bunch of their cameras and means that the Z200 can run for ages on these nice big and very easy to get batteries. Most modern cameras hitting the market now feature good connectivity options, and the Z200 is no exception. It features a range of ways to stream and offload content from the camera and will slide into existing broadcast and streaming workflows very easily. No matter if it's a single camera live stream or a multicam event broadcast, camcorders like the Z200 definitely have their place. It's also compatible with Sony's monitor and control app, which for low budget multicam shoots means that you can easily control all compatible Sony cameras on a single network from your phone or tablet. The Z200 is going to be priced at this, and the NX800 is going to be this. And these are the differences between the two of them. So if the Z200 is worth the extra cash or not, will depend on the kind of production needs you have. Basically, the NX800 offers a lot of what the Z200 does, but at a slightly reduced price for those that may not need the extra features the Z200 offers. Whether a traditional camcorder like the Z200 or another video focused camera like the FX3 or FX6 is the right camera for you will depend on what you need. The convenience of a camcorder can't be overlooked. The Z200 offers an insane zoom range, good image quality, and all the features and functions that you would want from a video camera. However, there is a clear image quality and aesthetic jump up that comes from its larger sensor counterparts. If you want some advice on what camera might be best for you, don't hesitate to get in contact with our experienced team on cvp.com, where we have a massive range of video, cine, and photo equipment available to order right now. It's been a good while since Sony released a camcorder like this, and while the amount of people using them has certainly reduced thanks to larger sensor interchangeable lens cameras aimed at shooting video becoming more accessible than ever, I do think that there are some people and productions that would benefit from using a camera like the Z200. Documentary, news gathering, TV and broadcast, studio installs, live events, seminars, and houses of worship could all benefit from using this kind of camera in their production. It really is a versatile camera that can slide into live broadcast as well as a regular recorded production. And thanks to Sony's incredibly diverse camera portfolio now, you have cameras that fit each different need, are similar to use, and you can easily match them. Whether a fixed lens camera is for you will be down to your shooting style and production, but the Z200 looks to be a very compelling option that offers all the features you would expect from a camera like this, with a few extra nice additions like the improved autofocus, electronic ND, and improved sensor performance. Both the Z200 and the NX800 are available to order now on our website, but let us know what you think of the Z200 down in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.